consistent, I move with the clock. I'm in the zone, I'm not casting a stone. I'm finna stand on a rock, firm foundation. I got that dog in me, like 101 Dalmatian. I got girl with me, so I knew that I'm still finna make it. I'm still finna take it. I hopped in the ring and I'm still going crazy. I cut off this shit like I just got a taper. I walk in the storm and then God gave me favor. I'm still going forward. I just had to lock in the Lord. I knew that I'm finna make it. Doing my old self, he got deported. Shout out to the king and I'm finna take
Let's get it.
Today is going to be a very special episode on this great Wednesday. So I just want to appreciate everyone for tuning in today. As I mentioned, this is going to be a great episode. We've got Trey Alexander is going to be joining me in about 3 or 4 minutes now. We'll get him in, but I want to make sure we start off this Wednesday with what I always start off with, and that's the verse of the day. So let's get right to it. Today's verse of the day is 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. And it reads, "No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, he will also provide a way out so that you can endure it." Okay, so when we get into this verse and we talk about what exactly it means and its impact, is that it can get pretty deep. Obviously, in this world, there's going to be trials and tribulations, and there's going to be temptations. We know that as believers, we need to look to follow our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ with everything that we have and fall in pursuit of him. However, we know that there's not going to be a perfect stretch for us. We're going to make mistakes. But what this verse is saying is that it is not saying that we're not going to have trials and tribulations throughout this walk with God. But what it is saying is that we are going to go through battles, but there will never be a battle that we will have to go through, a temptation greater than we can withstand, because of God's power and his grace and mercy that will be with us. So technically, yes, we have the power because of God working in and through us to live out a life according to his word and following his calling for our lives. Now, I know we're not going to be perfect there, and that's why he died on the cross for our sins to forgive us. But it is important to talk about that God just gives us the ability to walk with him, to have a relationship with him, and to grow closer to him. So that is today's verse of the day, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. Now, we've got a lot of different things we're going to get into today throughout the duration of the show. And one of those things is we got lots of topics to get into. Obviously, for football, I'm going to give you guys my top 5 teams in all the NFL following the interview with Trey. We're also going to get into talking about the Aaron Rodgers injury and possible replacements for him. We have some Giannis rumors going on right now. Also, Draymond Green, we're going to comment on his take on what he said just yesterday about having 2 more championships for the Golden State Warriors before this group is done. Also going to talk about some of the NFL and NBA updates. But we got a lot to get into today, as I mentioned, and we're going to have Trey get in here in just a little bit. So we're going to go on a quick break, and I'll see you guys right after the break, and we'll get right to the interview with Trey. And after that, we'll wrap it up talking about different segments and all there in the second hour. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys soon, and God bless you guys. If you were to have the ball in your hands the whole game, you're the guy for a whole season, 82-game season, how much do you think you're averaging?
Ball in my hand, 25, no doubt.
Mhm.
Easy. 25, no doubt, easy. And that's just me knowing my ability and knowing what I can bring every night. Because I feel
Mhm.
like, because I see like the little stats on Twitter, some games they be like, when Canton plays this certain amount of minutes, he averages 30, or he plays, this amount of games with this amount of minutes, he averages 25. So I feel like if I have the ability to play with the ball in my hand, make the decisions, all that stuff, I feel like I can average 25 points a game easy, no doubt.
Staying consistent, I move with the clock. I'm in the zone, I'm not casting a stone. I'm finna stand on a rock, firm foundation. I got that dog in me, like 101 Dalmatian. I got girl with me, so I know that I'm still finna make it. I'm still finna take it. I hopped in the ring and I'm still going crazy.
If you were to have the ball in your hands the whole game, you're the guy for a whole season, 82-game season, how much do you think you're averaging?
Ball in my hand, 25, no doubt.
Mhm.
Easy. 25, no doubt, easy. And that's
Staying consistent, I move with the clock. I'm in the zone, I'm not casting a stone. I'm finna stand on a rock, firm foundation. I got that dog in me, like 101 Dalmatian. I got girl with me, so I know that I'm still finna make it. I'm still finna take it. I hopped in the ring and I'm still going crazy. I cut off this sin like I just got a taper. I walk in the storm and then God gave me favor. I'm still going forward. I just had to lock in the Lord. I knew that I'm finna make it. Throwing my old self, he got deported. Shout to the king and I'm finna take it. Huh?
Welcome back to the SchuZ Show, everyone. As I mentioned heading into the break, I've got a big-time guest joining me. He is one of the upcoming rising stars in all college basketball, a guy that has his chance of being drafted even next year. He had a huge offseason going to the NBA Draft Combine, and he's now going to be one of the feature guys and potentially lead a team that's going to be a potential top 10 team heading into the season this upcoming year at Crayon, and that's Trey Alexander. Trey, appreciate you taking time to come on today, man. Absolutely. So I just talked a little bit about this past offseason for yourself, and it was a little bit different than other ones that you've had so far because you got to go out to the NBA Combine and your stock started to skyrocket. You became a guy that people were saying this could be a guy that legitimately gets drafted this past draft. But walk us through this whole draft process and offseason for yourself so far.
It was a great process. I was able to, like you said, be able to go to the NBA draft combine, be able to meet with a couple teams, a couple of execs, and then be able to have a lot of workouts. So it was great to hear their feedback and hear things that they said that they feel like I could do in that upcoming draft or even this upcoming draft this year. So it just made me very excited, and it was a great off season.
So when you were going through the draft process and you saw your name start to skyrocket, because we saw mock drafts and stuff starting to slot you in there as a second round draft pick, and when you first went in, a lot of people said, okay, we know he's good, but where exactly would he be? What went through your mind and what led you to ultimately say, you know what, I know that I could potentially get drafted this year, but I want to go take at least one more year in college and come back and play collegiate basketball one more time at least?
I just felt like last year's draft was it was a lot of guys in there that
Yeah.
really could potentially have came back to school, and yet they still ended up getting drafted. And I felt like that last year's draft was also very stacked in terms of the talent and a lot of guys that people were thinking were going to go first round ended up going second round, and then a lot of guys ended up going second round that were supposed to be first round. So I don't know. I just feel like it was a lot more stacked draft last year, and I also just wanted to be able to work on my game, get another year of college basketball up under my belt, and really show scouts what I could do at the collegiate level. And then, just work on those things that I wanted to work on and hopefully be able to turn myself into a first round pick this year.
Were you even shocked a little bit by how much you skyrocketed? Because when we look at your career so far, your first year you primarily come off the bench. Then last year you have a pretty big breakout season, become the go-to starter, your second leading scorer on the team. To see yourself just in a 2-year standpoint go from being a guy just trying to find your role in college basketball, not starting it, to becoming a guy that people say could be one, potentially even an All-American this season, being a guy that could have, like I just said, get drafted this past year. Was any of this kind of surprising to you, and just how quickly it shifted from one role to the next?
It happened pretty fast, so I really haven't. I really wasn't able to, kind of look back and be like, dang, like that it happened that quick. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just a lot of off season work. I feel like going to my first year, I really didn't know what I felt like my role was going to be. I felt like I was in that kind of unconfident stage, like where most freshmen come into. Like you don't know where you're going to be played at. You're just trying to find your niche out there and be able to stay on the floor. So I feel like that's how that went. And then after my first year, I kind of knew that I wanted to be one of the guys on the team, and I knew that we were going to have a very talented team, and I knew what my role was going to be in terms of what I would make it. So
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like it was just a real grinded out off season. I was able to, find out what I wanted to do last year and be able to showcase what I could really do.
All right, so I got to ask one part about that, because you decided to come back to college on the final day. And I know you were kind of entertaining and hinting at some stuff throughout the day where it kind of felt like, okay, I think there's a pretty good chance he returns. What was that one day like? Were you purposely kind of delaying it a little bit to kind of build up the hype at all? Or what was that final day when you announced that you're coming back to Crayon like?
It actually wasn't. I wasn't even really trying to hint at anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
I really felt like me and my family, like we came to a conclusion the day of, like the last day that you could possibly do it. We were really back and forth for a long time. I was actually going to stay in the draft for a long time. Like that's kind of where my head was at. That's kind of what me and my family had talked about. And then the last day we just felt like it was best that I went back to college. So uh, it's just God's plan. I feel like that's where my faith has taken me, and I put my faith into God, and I feel like that's where He wants me to be. And I feel like everybody's process is different, and I feel like my process is what I'm going through right now. So.
How big has it been for you to be able to rely on God? Because I know you are believers. So kind of just take us through that a little bit, knowing that, you're going through these ups and downs. And we'll talk a little about your freshman year. I know things were not going so well in the beginning parts. I know you're struggling a little bit, just mental-wise, trying to fit into your role and everything. And just kind of relying through the ups and downs throughout your college career so far. How big has your faith and trust in God been for you?
It's been great because, I mean, obviously, just like anybody, when you have a rough patch in your life, you feel like you have to find something to fall back on. That's always been my loved ones and my faith. So, I mean, I pray every night about what I want in my life, but also just helping the Lord keep me as a vessel and being able to showcase what He has for me in this life. And I feel like he kind of led me towards what I felt like was supposed to be me coming into a new era in my life, which was me being able to, be a better basketball player and being able to find that role and being able to find myself again in terms of basketball in the game that I love. So from then on, I just kind of kept relying on God and prayed about everything that's happened throughout the course of my life. And I mean, it's always been that way, and it's never failed me up to this point. So.
What would you say has been the biggest moment that you've had to rely on God and He's helped you get through it?
I would definitely say probably my freshman year,
Mm,
because I was contemplating whether I wanted to still hoop anymore, and I felt like it was just one of those things where I really wasn't having that much fun with it. It was
mm.
one of those things like coming out of high school, like I had so much fun with it, and it was something that I wanted to do, take with my career path, and something that I did every day to the point with my freshman year where I just didn't know if I wanted to do it anymore, and so I prayed about it and talked to God about it, and then I haven't looked back since. So he really just took me into a more of a grinding stage than I've ever been throughout the course of my basketball career. So, and I feel like that's why I'm reaping the benefits now.
So I do want to touch up a little bit on that freshman time period for yourself because you come in and you've been the guy for a long time. Throughout your high school career, you're the go-to guy. You're a top-ranked guy. AAU, you're playing as one of the lead guys. You come into a role where you obviously, like I said, we're not starting. You had to come off the bench for a little bit until you got that starting opportunity when Ryan got hurt. How did you get through that? And what ultimately gave you this saying in your mind to say, you know what, I do want to come back and I want to keep playing this game basketball. I know it might be tough. I know it might be hard, but I'm going to stay true to this. I'm going to keep working. What kind of gave you the confidence to say, you know, I'm going to stick to this game?
I just felt like it was I put too much work in to kind of quit on it. At that point, I felt like I spent countless hours in the gym, and I felt like it was just something that I knew that I had a love for. I just had to find it again. So
Mm.
throughout the course of that freshman year, I was just kind of there for a minute, and then as Ryan went down, it was kind of like one of those moments where you have to take it upon yourself to kind of say, okay, like this is my role now. I have to do this, or my team will lose. So it's not really just me at this point. It's me playing for my teammates as well, and playing for the other four guys on the court. So that's kind of what I had to do.
We're going to see probably a little bit more, at least in my opinion, of you getting to be the go-to guy this season now and probably even have a more role at the point guard spot sometimes too. How much would you say getting that little bit of an opportunity to step in for Ryan during that freshman season is now going to help you heading into this year now?
I feel like it helps a lot. Playing the one, you have to know where everybody's doing,
Mm-hmm.
whatever play running. So I feel like that's helped me a lot. Even this past year, I've had to know where guys are, even when I'm at the two. So I
Mm-hmm.
just feel like it adds an extra bonus for you and your teammates because you can kind of lead them throughout the course of the year, and you can also teach the young guys what they have to know about and what spots they have to know. And I just feel like it's one of those things to where like I feel that I'll be able to do my best, and I feel like I'll be able to showcase a lot of what people don't know that I could do at the one. So, yeah, I'm excited about it.
So how much can we expect to see at the one? Because I know you guys don't necessarily have a true point guard that came in to replace Ryan. So I think it's going to be more of a you, Steven, kind of going back and forth. Baylor can obviously handle the ball still. How much can we expect to see you running the guard at the guard spot and kind of help facilitating the offense this year?
I feel like you'll see me a lot more doing it this year. Me and Steven, we play off of each other. So I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be able to bring the ball up a lot. He'll be able to bring the ball up a lot. It really doesn't matter. I feel like there are some sets where I start at the one, and there are some sets where Steven's at the one, and I feel like him being the great shooter that he is, it kind of complements me being able to make reads and being able to come off of ball screens and being able to hit anybody because I feel like we have such a great shooting team. I feel like everybody on the court will be able to shoot this year at a high level, and I feel like that's going to make it to where teams are going to have to be spaced out, and then everybody will be able to do their thing. So.
All right, so walk us through this roster because it looks like a lot of a new team now. Because the first couple of years, you guys had that recruiting class, and you guys pretty much stuck together with you and Art and Ryan and company. And now you go and you and Ryan are returning, Baylor's returning. But you guys lose obviously Art, Ryan Nemhardt's gone now. You guys add in Steven, you guys add in Isaac. You guys get a lot of different stuff switching around now on this team. What's the feeling like of this team so far? Are you guys gelling well, or what's the look of the team sounding like so far?
Yeah, we've been gelling well. I feel like it's gelled a lot quicker than a lot of people would think, but I feel like it's happened as quick as I'd expected. I mean, we have a lot of unselfish guys on our team, a lot of guys on our team that just want to win, and I feel like we all have the same goal in mind. And I feel like when that's the case, that it kind of comes easier. So I think that a lot of the guys that are on the team this year are going to help get us back to the point that we were last year and hopefully get over that hump. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that this team is going to be able to show that we can play a lot better together. I mean, obviously the team last year was very talented individually, and I felt like as individually, like I felt our first five stacked up as the best first five in the country last year, and I feel like this year this team's going to gel well a lot better than it did last year.
Were you at all shocked by some of the moves? Because I know in the transfer portal things can happen and you never really know what's going to happen. But were you at all shocked when you knew that Ryan and Art were leaving? Did you kind of have a heads up beforehand, or what was your thoughts when that all originally went down?
I mean, it was a surprise. You don't expect things like that. I mean, especially after how much success that you have that followed that past year. So, I don't. I mean, I kind of figured that we would have some people moving around. I didn't expect anybody in the first five to, but it was Art and Ryan were both surprises to me. But I mean, they both told me beforehand that like even before they even told the coaching staff that they were going to leave because I mean that's how close we were as brothers. So I feel like it just
Okay.
goes to show that we have that type of bond, and I mean regardless of what team we're playing for, we're still brothers at the end of the day, and that's how I feel. I want the best for them, and I know that they want the best for me. So at the end of the day, it's all love for sure.
You kind of talked a little bit about the difference. Obviously, last year, like you mentioned, you guys had tons of talent, guys that could have professional careers playing after college basketball. And you kind of mentioned this team might have a little bit more chemistry aspect. Like you guys are still very, very talented, but there's probably a little bit more chemistry, camaraderie between you two. Walk us through that a little bit. Like, how much difference do you think people can expect between this past 2 years teams?
I mean, this year's team, I feel like we're just gonna shoot the three ball a lot more. I think that we're gonna shoot a lot of threes this year, kind of how the McDermott area has been for the most part.
Mhm.
You see a lot of run and gun offense. You'll see a lot of threes taken, a lot of threes makes, and obviously we still got the big fella inside, so we're definitely
Yeah.
going to get him involved with some plays that get him easy looks and things like that. But I don't know. I just feel like as a team this year, I feel like the offense is going to look a little bit more free flowing in terms of like moving it around a little more, and everybody's going to be in different spots, and I think that's going to make us just that much harder to guard. So.
So you look at your first 2 seasons and how far you guys went in the NCAA tournament. The first year you guys lose in the second round to Kansas. Last year you guys make an Elite Eight run and lose to San Diego State, who ends up obviously going to the national championship. You look at this upcoming season and you guys return a few guys. You guys add in the piece we talked about. How good do you think this year's team can be? And can you guys even potentially make a national championship run this year?
Definitely. I feel like we can. I feel like we have the talent to do it. I feel like we have the guys to do it, and I feel like everybody's bought in.
Mm.
I feel like that's most of the battle right there is finding 15 guys that buy into their role and finding those leaders that you have established at the beginning of the year and having those guys lead throughout the course of the year. Because I mean, as of last year, I feel like we could have won a national championship last year, and I feel like it was just a couple things here and there that we could have did better with, but obviously we had our growing pains last year having a 6 game lull. But I feel like those type of moments, that adversity kind of helps you down the stretch, and so I feel like that's why we were able to get to that position last year. But with this group this year, I feel like everybody's so much more experienced. I feel like we've
Mm.
already been through that adversity, so we won't really have to. Hopefully, we won't have a type of lull like we did last year, and we'll be able to kind of play the course of the season and be able to win a lot of games this year, and hopefully be able to make that national championship run.
So I do want to get into yourself as well because, like I mentioned earlier, you had last year a breakout season compared to your freshman season. You became a really good player in the conference, biggest all honorable mention. But this year, I feel like you have a chance to be the biggest breakout player in the country. I think you're a guy that it would not shock me if you average 16, 20 type points somewhere there, type of point per game score. Be a guy that's an All-American even this year, and let alone obviously being an All-Big East first team selection. Like I think you have a chance to truly make that next jump to being one of truly the premier players in all college basketball. How do you feel heading into the season about yourself, though?
I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just a guy who likes to win. I feel like if I have to
Hmm.
score for us to win, then that's what I'll do. If I have to defend the other team's best player, that's what I'll do. But I mean, I feel like with winning comes accolades. So I mean, at the end of
Sure.
the day, I'm worried about one thing, and I mean, everybody. The thing about this team, everybody knows their role at the end of the day. So we know who the guys are. We know who does what at what spots, who does these things the best. So I mean, that's just another one of the good things about this team is that we're very unselfish and we want what's best for each other. And I mean, I haven't. Of course, everybody has their goals, but I feel like at the end of the day, my biggest goal is winning, and I feel like things will come through with us winning this year. I mean, you don't remember a lot of people that lose, so.
Hmm. How confident do you feel as for yourself personally heading into this year in terms of what you're capable of getting done? Because your freshman year, you're just getting adjusted to the college life. Last year, you get a starting role, so you're kind of adjusting to that. This is the first time I feel like you're kind of heading into the year knowing what's up. You know that what the expectations are for yourself. How confident are you just in yourself personally heading into the year?
I have the utmost confidence in myself. I don't think I've had as much confidence in myself in my basketball career more than I do now. I just feel like I'm very confident in myself in terms of doing anything that I want to on the basketball court. I've watched a lot of film. I've done a lot of put a lot of work into the gym, and I feel like those are the two key components that you need to be able to have that confidence. And I feel like as you get stronger and you get more explosive and things like that, that's just another bonus to being able to make things happen on the basketball court. So I mean, as my basketball journey continues, I just feel like I'm getting better as a player, and I feel like that's one of the most confident things that you can have. So.
So we're gonna go back a little bit because last time I had you on the show was right before you officially commit originally to Auburn back in 2021 or whatever that was. And so I kind of want to go through that recruiting process a little bit because when you decide to go to Auburn, you commit there, you go with Bruce Pearl, and you're signed there for what is about 5-ish months, whatever that was. Take us through that thought process because I was reading a little bit about it. I know you mentioned that back then that they didn't keep their word on some stuff. Walk us through that original process. Like, what made you say, what you originally wanted to go to Auburn? And then what led to you officially decommitting and reopening that recruiting process then?
I just felt like throughout the course of the process that I felt like that I would have a bigger role somewhere at Creighton. I felt like at Creighton I could have a chance to be a potential starter, and I could be able to play a much bigger role rather than being at Auburn, where you have a lot of guys coming in transferring and things like that. So that's one of the reasons that I decided to come to Creighton, was because I felt like those things could happen, and I felt like it was just keeping my faith again. I feel like I prayed about it, and it was just one of those things that I felt God led me to. So that was definitely one of the more decisions that I've definitely leaned back on my faith as well.
There was an interesting part going through that because originally Creighton had a top-ranked recruiting class, and they had guys like Ty coming in, and obviously then the whole suspension happened with Coach McDermott, and all that unfolded. What at that point in time gave you the confidence to say, okay, I know everything going on, I know what could be happening right now, Coach McDermott, but I feel confident saying, you know what, I want him to be my coach. He's the guy I want to have coaching me throughout my college career.
I've just watched a lot of Creighton basketball. And I feel like it fitted my game just super well. I felt like Creighton basketball was a lot of free flowing offense, a lot of three shot, and I felt like it translated a lot to the NBA game. So I felt like that was one of the biggest reasons that I chose, was because I felt like the transition from college to the NBA wouldn't be as hard when I did decide to make that decision. So.
Well, take us through Coach McDermott because he obviously is a great coach. He's accomplished a ton throughout his career so far. What's it been like just being coached by him and growing in your guys' relationship over the past few years?
Yeah, it's been great. Me and Mac have a good relationship. He's a great person, very down to earth, doesn't really yell a lot. But he's gonna be honest with you. He's he's one of the very few guys that just will be very straight up with you and not sugarcoat anything. And I feel like he's fed me confidence throughout my collegiate career, and I feel like that's one of the biggest things that I wanted out of my coach, was for him to, not really bottle up my game, and I feel like he hasn't done that at all. I feel like he's actually let me showcase my game very much well at the collegiate level. So I'm very thankful for Coach McDermott and the trust that he's put in me, and the just the wisdom that he's gave me over the years as well.
What would you say has been the favorite memory that you've created so far, Coach McDermott?
Uh, I would probably say probably after the San Diego State game my freshman year. That was definitely one of the more connecting moments me and Coach had. I feel like it was one of those things, like you have two of your best players go down, and then it's one of those things like you're the massive underdog at that point. So just being able to make big plays down the stretch, and having him call my number on a lot of those plays and trusting me to run the one, and being able to pull out that game, that was one of my most favorite basketball memories ever. So that was a very connected moment between me and Coach McDermott.
How much would you say your guys' relationship has grown? Because your first year to your second year, now your third year, where would you say you guys have grown the most in your guys' relationship?
I feel like he just treats me as one of the leaders on the team. Like he always talks to me about how practice went. He tells me some of the plays that he wants to incorporate, or like some spots that he sees me being able to play, and what things we can just do better on the court as a team, and how I felt about practicing things of that sort. Just things that coaches do with some of their when some of their better players on the team and some of their leaders on the team. So I feel like he's definitely made that jump with me in terms of treating me like one of the leaders on the team.
Now, in terms of some of the guys on the roster, the first guy I want to talk about is Ryan, because you two have not been together for a couple of years. He's one of the premier defensive players in all the country, and you two get to kind of form that guard and big man duo, which we know can be special, especially at the college game. How close are you two, and what's it just been like seeing the way your guys' relationship and chemistry on the court has grown over the past couple of years?
Yeah, me and Ryan are really close. We Our lockers are right next to each other, and
Mm-hmm.
we live next to each other and everything. That's my guy. So I feel like we have a great relationship. Uh, we we are very confident in each other. He's been obviously trying to work on some things like being able to shoot the three and things of that sort. So I mean, we play together in practice all the time, and I'm always hitting him on the pop, and he's just asking me what spots he thinks that he can roll, or what spots I think that he can pop and things, and not really mess up the flow of the offense. So Ryan's going to be great this year, as everybody would expect, and I mean I think we'll be able to see another great showing from him this year, and I feel like our two man game is going to be at its best with him being able to adding the shot to his game. So.
So you're kind of hinting that we might be able to see a little bit more potential three-point action from Ryan this upcoming year then?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Now, a couple of the guys on this roster, though, you guys have brought back Baylor and also added in guys like Isaac, Steven, Jonathan Lawson. How would you say those new guys, though, have been adjusting to this roster? How well they fit in with you guys, and how are you guys' relationship so far?
Steven's great. I mean, that's the first person that comes to mind when you think of the transfer portal. Obviously,
Hmm.
he's going to be trying to, fill in the Ryan Nembhard spot at the one. I feel like he was a great addition for us. He's come in. He's been a leader. He's been vocal. Very shoots the ball really well at a very high clip. Makes great decisions, and he's a very unselfish guy. I mean, he's an everyday type of person. So definitely one of those guys that everybody would love to have in their locker room. Isaac Trout, he's a 6'10" forward that can play the five. He shoots the ball really well as well. He gives us kind of that. I mean, you can call it small ball look, but because he plays a forward, but I feel like he really gives us a good small ball look, and he'll be able to help us this year. And Jonathan Lawson as well. I feel like he's long. He can shoot it. He plays defense. So it really helps bring to that. Cause like I was saying earlier, that Coach McDermott type of feel. That 3-point shooting, high clip guys
Yeah.
that can shoot the ball at a high clip, and I feel like every guy that we brung in this year is going to be able to do that. So it just
Mhm.
really just helps everybody space the floor out and be able to make the offense go.
So who are you most excited to go up against this season? You guys got a stacked Big East once again. It's going to be a great conference. You guys got some nice matchups in the out-of-conference play, though. Is there one game you got circled on your calendar right now?
Definitely UConn and Marquette. Those are two of the
Hmm.
people that I want to play. I feel like UConn's got a lot of offseason buzz coming off a national championship, as they should, but
Yeah.
I feel like Marquette beat us twice last year. I mean, once without Ryan, but another time at home. And I feel like we got to get them back. I mean, it's kind of gotten even. Well, no, it isn't even. Yeah, I beat them 3 times. I beat them twice, but they beat us twice last year, and we weren't able to get one. They won, the Big East regular season, and they were able to go far in the tournament. So I feel like
Hmm.
those are two of the teams that I really want to play this year.
All right, so you guys also just recently got back from the Bahamas. You guys go on that foreign tour. I know you went back. You got headed out a little bit earlier than everyone else did, but for you, just going out there and getting some real live action with the guys, getting to step on the court for the first time with them, you also just getting to go out there and be the guy, and you had a really good show in those games as well. What was that whole foreign tour experience like?
It was great. It was nothing better than being out of the country, being on the beach, being at
Hmm.
one of the better resorts in the whole world. So it was real cool and being able to hoop. So it was everything that you could ask for in the off season. And obviously we were able to gel as a team. We were able to play some good ball.
Mhm.
Get out there and go undefeated and be able to, just be able to figure out each other. I feel like that was the biggest thing for us, is being able to see what everybody could do out there. And I feel like it was a great opportunity for some of those young guys who haven't played a collegiate game yet, to be able to get, something, the closest thing to it, under their belt. So I feel like it was good for everybody, and everybody had a great time. So that was really cool.
What was your favorite memory that you created from out there?
My favorite memory was probably going down one of those slides. Like it just dropped straight down. It like all of us went down it like one after the other. So it was cool, like seeing all 15 of us being able to ride it, and hearing everybody come down it. So it was cool.
So how do you guys balance that? Because I know part of it is you guys want to work on your game and go out there and play, but at the same time, for the primary factor is to get you guys more chemistry, have fun, create memories with each other. How would you say you guys balance that, and what was it like just getting to just not even on the court stuff, but just getting to hang out with the guys and just build that chemistry with each other?
It was great. It was cool. I mean, everybody loves the hoop that's on the team, so it was
Hmm.
cool just to being able to be on the bench a little bit, being able to cheer the other guys on. Because starters really didn't play that much in terms of us. Just trying to see what everybody do. Everybody could
Sure.
give everybody free, equal playing time, and being able to see what everybody could do. So it was real cool. It was fun. I had a great time. I know the other guys did. And then, of course, being able just to be out there on the resort and have a good time, and being able to, just get to know the guys more. And I feel like that's kind of was the biggest thing for us, was getting able to know each other, because we know each other on the basketball court. But, getting some of that off of the court feel is good too. So.
All right, so you look at these guys. Has there been anyone that stood out to you yet? Like, we know, obviously, you knew Ryan and what he's capable of. You know yourself. Has there been anyone that has maybe kind of shocked you a little bit, has come back and returned, that looks a lot better, has made big strides in his game, or maybe one of the incoming guys that you say, man, you maybe were not expecting him to be this good, but he's really stepped up and he's surprised you in what he's capable of doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think of a couple people. I think of, obviously, first Baylor Shireman. I mean, I feel like he's going to be able to shoot back at that clip that he was his first 3 years of college, like him being at that, high 40s, mid 40s, being able to shoot the three like that. He's really came back clipping.
Mhm.
He's also been able to have a better pick and roll game. He's added a floater to his game and improved his handle. So, Baylor's done his work in the offseason, and Steven as well. I feel like Steven, people think of him as a smaller guard, and I feel like he's going to be able to help us in terms of his shooting as well, and him being able to make reads, and just our playmaking down the stretch. I feel like that's going to be very, very good for us down the stretch. Is having a lot of guys on our team who can make plays for each other. So.
All right, so the reason you left the Bahamas early was because you got the opportunity to go out there and play or compete in the Nike Skills Academy. That's not something that everyone just gets to go to and compete in. What was it like to be able to go experience that?
It was great. I had a great time. It was a great experience. I was able to, you know, talk with some of the other top guys in the country, and being able to even connect with some of the top high schoolers in the country. So it was a great opportunity, and I loved it out there. Oregon, the Nike facility out there is really nice. It's
Mhm.
something that you'll never be able to see in your lifetime. Like it's something that everybody would want to put on their to do list before, on their bucket list. So, for me to be able to do that and be able to hoop at the same time, it's just a blessing. So,
All right, so when I was doing some research, I found out that your cousin's Mike Conley. Take us
yeah,
through that a little bit. Like, I did not know that. So, what's your relationship like?
it's good. We obviously we don't talk like every day like that, but
Sure.
we've talked, and we spoke to each other at family reunions. We haven't really been able to work out with each other because our schedules kind of, not aligned. They don't align at the same time, so it's been kind of
Yeah.
difficult with that. But we see him at family reunions. We speak. We just chop it up a little bit. He talks to me about how I've been doing. I talk to him how he's been doing, how he's liking it wherever he's at that moment in time. So for me to have somebody in my family that's already been through it, and just kind of where I want to be in my career in terms of the
Mhm.
long run. So it's been great.
What's the biggest advice or lesson that he's taught you so far?
Uh, just stay, just stay humble and stay passionate towards your grind. Because as you get higher up, and you start going through, and you see that you're kind of different from everybody else. Not a lot of people are doing what you're doing. It's very easy to kind of get airheaded and kind of lose focus of your goal. He just kind of taught me that you have to keep what's first, and other stuff will always be around. So that's really the biggest thing.
All right, so a few more things before I let you go. One of them is NIL wise. You've got a few different opportunities. One of them we saw with B-Dubs. We saw that little promotion you did out there. What's it been like just getting to soak in and embrace the NIL lifestyle now that you guys get to experience?
It's a blessing. I mean, it's a lot of people that haven't been able to do this, and I feel like it's kind of an award to the athletes that have come through and have been able to do things at the college level. And I feel like it was well needed because, I mean, obviously our colleges make a lot of money off of us because we work as hard as we can to be able to showcase what we can do in front of thousands of fans night in and night out. So I feel like it was great for us to get this opportunity, and I feel like it was very cool for the NCAA to be able to do that. And I feel like just for me, it's taken me a lot of different places, and it's made opportunities for me and my family that not a lot of people are able to have. So I'm really blessed by that, and it's just another thing that I'm very thankful for that basketball has been able to do for me. So.
How much of an impact do you think it has on the college game? Because I know people always say, okay, this is why some guys are returning to college. This is why this, that, and the third, some guys are transferring to these places or whatnot. How big of an impact do you personally see or think that NIL has had in terms of just roster construction?
I think it's had a big role. I think obviously you have your higher level schools that are able to provide more money for players, but
Sure.
I feel like as of right now, NIL is the best way to recruit somebody just off rip. I feel like money talks to people, and I feel like
Yeah.
that's definitely one of those things that colleges have began to use, and I mean. I feel like that's something that they will continue to use as long as the rules are the way that they are. And I mean, I'm not mad at what they're doing for these college kids because a lot of people are able to change lives with the amount of money that they're able to make at the collegiate level. So I'm all for it. I mean, everybody's goals are different, and I feel like NIL has been able to help a lot of people in their families. So I'm not against it at all.
When it comes to yourself personally, how big of a role did that have on you deciding to come back to college?
Not really a big role. I feel like with what I'm trying to do with my career, I'll make a lot more money at the NBA level than I will at the
Sure.
college level. So I feel like NIL wasn't really a big factor for me. Obviously, it's a plus for somebody that wants to be able to make money at the collegiate level with their name, image, and likeness. But I mean, where I'm trying to go, I feel like the money is going to be well more off than it is right now
Yeah.
at the collegiate level.
All right, so my final thing for you, you look at this upcoming season, and I know that there's a chance this is going to be your final year in college basketball. What do you want to accomplish? Like when you talk about, if we were to talk 1 year from now or 6, 7, 8 months, whatever it is when the season's done, what do you want to accomplish as a team, person? Like what would make this a successful final season potentially at Creighton this year?
National championship. That's the first thing on my mind is national championship. I feel like last year left a bittersweet taste in my mouth, more bitter than it was sweet. And I feel like that's added to the level of the hunger that I have for this upcoming year. And I mean, I just feel like personally, you have things that you want to do. Obviously, like you said, I would love to become an All-American. I would love to be able to do all those things. But the number one thing for me right now is being able to help my team make a national championship. And I feel like that's what the focus has been from the point that we've lost to the point now. So it's going to continue to be that until I'm able to put us in that situation again.
Absolutely, man. Well, Trey, I definitely appreciate taking time to come on today, man. Keep being the light. I'm excited to see what God's got in store for you this year, man.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Of course, you're always welcome on, man. God bless.
Yes, sir. God bless.
Well, I appreciate everyone for tuning in for that interview. As I mentioned, we're going to go on a quick break now. And after that, we're going to get into some different segments I talked about in the heading into the show. But once again, I appreciate everyone for tuning in for this interview. Appreciate Trey for hopping on today. And I'll see you guys after this break. All right. God bless you guys. From the moment I was born, a ball was in my hands and a deep passion for sports was ignited. My dream was to play the game for as long as possible, but God had other plans. After battling with severe illnesses caused by black mold poisoning for nearly 4 years, I made the difficult decision to let go of my on-court dreams heading into my junior year of high school. However, I was determined to have one last victorious moment as an athlete, and that was achieved on February 9th, 2019, when I ran a marathon at the age of 16. That night, as I took a recovery Epsom salt bath, I felt God place on my heart the idea to start a podcast. Although I didn't know where to begin, the first episode of SchuZ Views dropped on March 11th, 2019. Over the next 1,183 days, more than 600,000 people tuned into 1,056 interviews. Then, on June 6, 2022, my final interview for over a year was released featuring Jameer Young. I never once thought that I'd be off the air for over a year, but the truth is there was something missing in me. At first, I thought creating a website would help fill that void, so I went and put together SchuZ.net, but nothing changed. Throughout the next month, I continued searching for answers, and eventually, God worked in the only way that would have gotten my attention at that point in time. Through something work-related. By the end of July 2022, my parents blessed me with the opportunity to build a studio. However, before breaking ground, the real change began. On August 3rd, 2022, my life changed forever. Once again, I happened to be taking a bath late into the night, and suddenly, an indescribable feeling came upon me. It was a profound urge to open up my Bible and read. I turned to 2 Corinthians chapter 4, and since that night, not a single day has passed without me spending time in the Word. You see, what was missing all along was Jesus. On August 6th, my dad and I began to lay the foundation for the next chapter of my career. Simultaneously, the foundation of who I was created to be was also being laid. Over the years, I had lost sight of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I knew of God, but I didn't know Him, and I certainly was not following or living like Him. But day by day, the new me began to take shape. My former self's sole priority faded away, and I began to live out the acronym I often talked about, FJTFOE. It stands for First Jesus, then Family Over Everything. God became my everything, and He transformed me entirely. He helped me rediscover my love for family, running, lifting, playing basketball, giving back, the church, and most importantly, Him. This journey began with a craving to nourish my old identity, but God's hand was always in control, rapidly shaping my new identity. As God transformed me, He also grew my relationship with every member of my family. Together they stood by me and contributed to the person I am today. Through it all, Ephesians chapter 3 verse 20 manifested its truth in my life. The blessings I received far exceeded anything I could have imagined. The truth is that God's hand has always been there, but now I'm committed to following His path. Although I may look different, and my heart has undergone a profound change, I am truly blessed to announce the beginning of a new chapter. Starting July 24th, I will be launching my new show, the SchuZ Show, which will air on my YouTube channel every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I can't wait for you guys to join me in this next chapter. I'll see you guys soon, and may God bless you all. There is a funny aspect about you, and that's the fact that I don't think you necessarily even tried to, but there's been countless times in your brief NBA career already that you've made it viral. You've made memes of yourself, whatever it might be. One of which was in the midst of that 40-point streak. You obviously broke LeBron's record, and you made your comment saying about, well, I'm not really a LeBron guy, I'm a Kobe guy. And I don't think you even intended that to go viral. Now you have that.
Nah, not at all.
There's your Steve Nash moment during the Summer League. We know that aspect. I think that was after the second year. You had a fun, obviously, at one point. You have your branding that you've now done. When you look at all these, like, do you ever intend to expect something to go viral or be funny, or does you just end up happening, and then by the time you get back on your phone, you're like, oh, this already just went down, dang.
Bro, that's crazy. No, not at all. No, because even with my brand, like, when a random person asks me, because you know, random people always see, like, oh, he's so serious, and I'm just like, bro. And then I say it all the time. Like, I say it no matter what. And I said it at one time and it blew up. And I was just like, I mean, I said it. I've been saying it every time. Like somebody asks me that. So then, that blew up. And then the Kobe thing. I was just being honest. I mean, it's no disrespect to LeBron. Obviously, I
Yeah.
love looking at LeBron playing stuff like that. He's done a lot for the game and stuff. But it's just me being a fan of basketball. Me growing up with Kobe. Just my love for Kobe is like unmatched. So really that part. So really everything I say, I'm just like, I mean, I'm not really intending to go viral. I'm just speaking what's on my mind at that point. So if it goes viral, it goes viral.
Which one of the things that's happened so far, maybe even one that I've not listed yet, was the most surprising to you? Like by the time you got on your phone, maybe even someone else came and told you about it, where you're like, dang, that really went viral?
The branding,
Mm-hmm.
my brand. Honestly, I was never expecting that to go viral because I always said it. I always said the same thing, no matter what somebody asked me. I always said it, and that went viral before. And then that one particular day, I woke up, and then the very next day or a few hours later, I don't really remember because we was playing Philly when I said it. We was playing Philly, and then when I said it, it took off, and I was like, oh man, I was not expecting that at all.
Staying consistent, I move with the clock. I'm in the zone, I'm not casting a stone. I'm finna stand on a rock, firm foundation. I got that dog in me, like 101 Dalmatian. I got girl with me, so I knew that I'm still finna make it. I'm still finna take it. I hopped in the ring and I'm still going crazy. I cut off this sin like I just got a taper. I walk in the storm and then God gave me favor. I'm still going forward. I just had the luck in the Lord. I knew that I'm finna make it. Doing my old self, he got deported. Shout out to the king and I'm finna take it.
On to the SchuZ Show. We're now officially in the second hour of today's show. Appreciate everyone for tuning in to the Trey interview. That will be available by itself separately. Following this interview, we'll post on YouTube. But in this second hour, I got a few topics I want to get into today. First and foremost, I think that we have to get into the Aaron Rodgers topic because after the Monday show, we were talking about the hype for the game, the New York Jets versus the Buffalo Bills. It was a primetime game. Incredible beginning. So hyped up. Aaron Rodgers' debut, his first time playing for another team. And as we all know, in the fourth play of his career as a New York Jet, he ends up tearing his Achilles, and he's now out for a season. Now, this has massive ramifications on countless aspects. In terms of the Jets organization, they need to figure out the quarterback situation. Are they going to have Zach Wilson continue to take the reins of this team and go forth? I know that was the plans all along in terms of him being the guy in a couple of years when Aaron Rodgers retires. But I don't think anybody was expecting him to be the guy this year. And by anybody, I don't think nobody wants that. So we have to figure out, who's going to be the backup? Are they going to bring in a guy just to be there to mentor him, or are they going to get a guy in there that can start over him? We have to decide on that. In terms of the NFL as a whole, well, we're talking about a team that I thought was a top 10, top 5 team that could potentially win a Super Bowl this year. They're now no longer going to win a Super Bowl, most likely. Now, Robert Saleh talks about saying, okay, we can't just go eliminate them from the discussions because they still do have a great team. I mean, that defense is something spectacular. They do have the best defense in the NFL. And the offense has plenty of weapons as well, but the fact of the matter is if you do not have a star at quarterback, or at least a guy that's capable of playing at a decent level, you're going to struggle. So we have to figure that aspect out. So there's massive ramifications from this injury, but ultimately it's a horrible situation. It's unfortunate for Jets fans. It's unfortunate for the team. The stories in terms of just the reaction of guys, the way that just depleted a locker room, it's unfortunate for what occurred out there in New York. But what I do want to discuss now is who could potentially be the replacements now for this New York Jets team, because we have a spot now in this roster where I mentioned there has to be another guy that they figure out. We need to figure out who is going to come in and help step up in the New York Jets system that's going to take over the reins at the quarterback position. As of this point in time, sure, Zach Wilson is the guy. And I'm okay with that for now because he is your young guy and he's the only guy in your roster right now. And obviously, I'd take him over the backup situation they currently have. But here's my big thing. I'm going to start off with one guy first and foremost. And this is not going to make my top 3 rankings, but he's just going to be his name listed because how could I not list him? If it is possible indeed and in fact to go get Tom Brady and have him come out of retirement for the second time and finish the season up with them, okay, that's going to be the number one option. I personally do not think that's actually a realistic thing due to the fact that, well, he's retired. He seems to be enjoying life being retired, and there doesn't seem to be any rumors or interest in him to come back and play in the NFL again. So Tom Brady, I'll list him there for now. I do not think he's going to be the guy that comes back and plays, but he would be number one. But I'm going to put him above everyone else in like a mythical, potential dream scenario. He's number one. Okay, let's get to realistic things. I got 4 quarterbacks. This is my top 4 quarterbacks. Well, no, I'm going to give you guys 3, in fact, because I got 3 guys. This is my top 3 quarterbacks that I have to replace Aaron Rodgers. And I don't want to say replace because none of these guys are going to replace him. But these are my top 3 guys that I think the New York Jets should either trade for or sign via free agency to either be the backup or potentially compete for a starting spot in New York. All right, here we go. At number 3, I've got Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy is a guy that is a veteran guy. I think he'd be a great backup to mentor and help alongside Zach Wilson. He's the guy I'm going to put at number 3. At number 2, Jacoby Brissett. He was playing very swell last season, filling in for Deshaun Watson while he was suspended out there in Cleveland. I think Jacoby Brissett is a guy that's capable. Now, I still don't know if they're going to win a Super Bowl, but being a backup, he is the guy that could also come in and win some games for you, get you to about 500 in the Cleveland team last year. What could he do with this team in New York? I don't know. Wouldn't be too bad. But here's my number 1 option. And I haven't heard this too many times, but honestly, I would not mind trading for Jameis Winston when he's out there with New Orleans. He's not going to be the starter. He's a backup right now. Derek Carr is the starting quarterback in New York, or out there in New Orleans. So it would not be too bad of an idea to have Jameis Winston come out there. We all know he can throw the ball, sometimes to the opposing team, but Winston knows how to get points on the board. Now, I know he hasn't looked as sharp last season due to injuries and whatnot, but listen, the situation that you're going into right now in New York is a situation in which has a defense that's already been established. You do not have to worry about the defensive front. They're going to win games single-handedly by themselves because that defense is so elite. And then you have so many options and weapons around alongside him. This would be a fine fit for Jameis Winston. So that is my top 3. Another guy I want to say honorable mention, Carson Wentz. I do think that he would be a solid fit as well. I would say Carson Wentz is more so. Carson Wentz and Jameis Winston are the 2 guys I'd say are the 2 guys to go after if you're looking to truly replace Zach Wilson and get a new starter in there. But if you want a backup, I think Jacoby Brissett, Colt McCoy would be the 2 best options there. So that's what I think we're going to go with for the Aaron Rodgers situation and who could potentially back him up out there in New York. Now, I do want to pull something up, though, real quickly because there's been this debate for quite some time, right? We've heard about all the different scenarios going on. We've heard about the turf. We've heard about all these different factors that keep going into is turf, is grass, what's the best option, what should we do? And nobody seems to have the official answer. And we know what players want, but teams don't want to do it. And so there's been all this debate, as we are well aware of, in regards to well, all the stuff happening right now in the turf and regular grass debate. So that being said, we saw this morning a notification come out and a statement being made about about the turf and about grass. And here's what we're going to pull up. Let me see if I can get this pulled up and share screen. All right, let's get this pulled up in here now. All right. So I mentioned that there has been a lot of debate. What are we going to do in regards to this upcoming situation and season and stuff going on with the grass and turf debate? And I think it is smart. We need to go all grass. This has been a stance that I've been having for a very long time. We see with soccer people that they go around and they keep switching out for soccer the grass. They don't play on turf. And there's a lot of debate about that. And there was a whole thing that came out earlier this year, I should say, discussing the facts of, well, they're about equal. It has nothing to do with turf and grass. Yes, it does. And here's what the NFLPA executive director, Lord Howell, came out and said. Moving all stadium fields to high-quality natural grass surfaces is the easiest decision the NFL can make. The players overwhelmingly prefer it, and the data is clear that grass is simply safer than artificial turf. It is an issue that has been near the top of the players' list during my team visits and one I have raised with the NFL. While we know there is an investment to making this change, there is a bigger cost to everyone in our business if we keep losing our best players to unnecessary injuries. It makes no sense that stadiums can flip over to superior grass surfaces when the World Cup comes or soccer clubs come to visit for exhibition games in the summer. But inferior artificial surfaces are acceptable for our own players. This is worth the investment and it simply needs to change now. 100% agree with that. Absolutely no debates in regards to any of that stuff being said right there because listen, at the end of the day, there needs to be artificial grass removed and they need to be playing on real grass. So what we need to see happen is that this change must happen and must happen quickly so that their injuries can stop occurring so often. Because as the statement talks about, we see in these soccer games countless times that they're going to not play on turf. They're going to play on real grass. And so why would they do it? If it is feasible, if it is possible to do it for soccer teams when they come out, why can't the NFL do it? That needs to be done. That needs to be adjusted ASAP. All right, some other headlining news in regards to the NFL. Deontay Johnson will have a multi-week absence due to a hamstring injury. Jason Peters, he signed a one-year deal with the Seahawks. He's coming back. Once again, he is not done. He signed the Seahawks on a practice squad deal, but will likely be moved up to the roster eventually. Just going to kind of get adjusted to the team and all of that. La'el Collins, he has been released. He's a guy that's a veteran, has been well established, lost his role in the Cincinnati Bengals team, and he's now a free agent. He's someone that I would think there's going to be quite a few contending teams looking to sign. The New York Jets would have been someone I would not mind seeing sign him. Obviously, with the Aaron Rodgers situation, I do not know how they're going to move forward, but that would have been a nice signing there. J.C. Horn, he's going to be placed on IR. Possibly it's still in play, but he will miss a significant chunk of the season due to a hamstring injury as well. We discussed on Monday's episode about the NBA resting policy, what has now been okayed as of this morning. So there will now officially be the NBA resting policy with the fines that's going to be in place as discussed earlier this week on Monday. All right, 3 big headline topics I do want to get into before we wrap this show up, though. First one is this. We're going to stick in the NFL. I got my NFL power rankings for this week. And here's what we're going to rank them off at. At number 5 for me, I've got the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens looks pretty decent there on the very first game of the season. Still, I think there's some chemistry stuff. I feel like there's some rush to shake off, and they had a lot of injuries. However, I think this is a year that Lamar's going to ball out. I absolutely love Zay Flowers. OBJ is going to be a great wide receiver too. You're going to get Mark Andrews back pretty soon. The line has some work to do health-wise, but they're going to be decent, and the defense is a very good defense. I don't know exactly where I'd rank them, probably top 10, but they got a really good defense. All right, number 4, the Philadelphia Eagles. Look good to start the game, ended the game not so well. They still got a solid roster. I got the Philadelphia Eagles at number 4. Number 3 on my list is San Francisco 49ers. They look special. They look like a legitimate contender. They have got all the pieces to surround Brock Purdy, who was on that cheap under $1 million contract this season, and they got star power all around them. They look phenomenal this past weekend. I have them at number 3. At number 2, the Miami Dolphins. San Francisco and Miami could have been back and forth, but listen, I got Miami here for a reason, and here is why. The Miami Dolphins have a team of Tua Tagovailoa, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and let me just say this: Tua is a top 10 quarterback locked in. I don't know exactly where I would put him on that list. He has proven that he can play when healthy. Now, when healthy is key, but he is healthy right now and he's balling out. They have the best wide receiver duo in all the NFL, and it is not even close. They have got a solid group. The line needs some work there. I will say that. The line definitely needs some work. The running backs could be upgraded, but hey, they didn't play too bad this past week, and the defense has talent. Also, remember, I'm not factoring this into the rankings, but Jalen Ramsey will most likely be back in the second half of the season. That's going to only make this team stronger, and I'm sure they could go sign some other guys in free agency or trade for other guys as well. And at number one, this might be debated, but my number one team in the NFL right now is still the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I know some people are going to be shocked by that. They're 0-1. How could they possibly be number one? Well, listen, week one to me does not matter that much. Yes, it will matter when you talk about wins and losses later on in the season when it comes time for the postseason. But guess what? We're week one. They lost to a team, the Detroit Lions, who I have ranked just outside my top 5. I'd probably put them in the top 8 or 9 teams in the NFL. They lost to them by 1 point, and they did not have the best offensive weapon in all the NFL in Travis Kelce. Nor did they have one of the top, in my opinion, the second best defensive player in all the NFL playing. Well, guess what? Chris Jones is back. Travis Kelce should be back, if not this week, the following week. They're just fine. The Kansas City Chiefs are the number one team in football, in my opinion. I'm not moving them off because they lost week one. No, I absolutely love this team. They have the best player in all football, the best quarterback in the NFL, and potentially even the best talented quarterback to ever play. You have the best coach in the NFL at the helm of everything. The defense overall is still solid. And like I mentioned, they lost by 1 point to the Detroit Lions, who is a legitimate top 10 team in the NFL. I think they might be around 7 or 8. I just have a couple of the teams listed here that I was in consideration for, along with the Dallas Cowboys and whatnot. So Kansas City Chiefs are my number one team in the NFL at this point in time. That is my top 5 teams in the power rankings following week 1 of the NFL season. Let's hop over to basketball now. All right. Before I got on this show, a clip was posted on ESPN. I do not know exactly when this clip was done, when the show was done. It was on, hopefully I pronounced the show correctly, 48 minutes, I believe. It was with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Okay. This is the statement that Giannis made when asked about if he wants to stay on the team and what he's looking for from Milwaukee. And I'll quote this: "I am a Milwaukee Buck, but most importantly, I'm a winner. If there is a better situation for me to win the Larry O'Brien, I have to take that better situation." That's interesting, because this is not the first time now that we've heard these little subtle hints from Giannis in regards to potentially not wrapping up his career as a Milwaukee Buck. I always was under the assumption I thought Giannis was going to stay a Milwaukee Buck for his entire career, but it appears that is not the case. It appears that Giannis has a chance at considering leaving the team one day. Now, I'm not going to make a list of who I think he could possibly be going to because nothing is official. I think he's not going to be traded in the near future. This could be something that happens a year or 2, 3 years out. But Giannis might not be a Milwaukee Buck forever, which is very intriguing because we're talking about debatably the best player in all the world not being a Milwaukee Buck in the future. And the reason I thought he would probably be staying in Milwaukee was because, listen, he got his championship. He's good. He can build out his legacy and dominate out there. And maybe even compete for another championship. Who knows? But if Giannis becomes available, that's going to be something special to see. Chicago, I know we've heard him make that little hint that he likes Chicago. This is a situation that if New York Knicks continue to build the team up correctly, I could see that possibly being a situation there. But like I said, this is so many years down the road. I'm not going to make a list of exactly where I think he might be playing at. So that's my take on the Giannis situation. My other thing is that there was an interview with Draymond Green done yesterday, and he made this statement, and I quote, "I don't see why we can't get 2 more championships." This would put him at a total of 6 championships. All right, welcome back, everybody. I do not know what was going on. We've had a couple different technical difficulties, to say the least, with the camera today, but hopefully it all is figured out now, and we'll get back into that final segment. So we're going to restart this segment since I know I only got through halfway through the quote before the camera froze or whatever happened there. However, let's get right to this. All right, so we had an instance where Draymond Green was interviewed just yesterday, and it was a long sit-down interview. I encourage you to go to watch if you are interested in that. But this was a quote that Draymond Green said in that interview. I don't see why we can't get 2 more championships, which would put the Golden State Warriors era at 6 total championships for the team. Well, that's interesting to me because the Golden State Warriors have got a dynasty. We all know they have been a dynasty, and they're getting up there. Last year, they had a lot of ups and downs, but 2 more championships seems interesting. Although I'll say this, that would not surprise me. We're talking about the Golden State Warriors. Yes, the team did not look too great as a whole. And when I say not too great, I mean they didn't look championship material last year. But Steph Curry doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon. Draymond Green was still, in my opinion, probably the most impactful team defender in the entire NBA last season. Klay Thompson was still a very, very good player. Jonathan Kuminga looked like he was showing some flashes. Now, I do not know if we're going to finally get him to be unleashed and let him just be the guy he's supposed to be. But he made strides last year. They get Chris Paul in there. We know that he's not the prime Chris Paul no longer, but he's more than a serviceable guard if we're going to try starting him, putting off the bench. And, oh yeah, Andrew Wiggins. You guys remember what he was doing in the championship run? He was the second best player on the Golden State Warriors. He was playing at a very, very high level the last time the Golden State Warriors won a championship. Last year, for the very first time in his career, he had ups and downs in regards to a couple of different injuries. He had the whole other situation where he had to go back and lead the team for a little while. He's not getting any older. He's getting older, but he's still well in his prime, and he's going to be there for a few more years. You have a couple of the young guys you've been bringing in now, draft picks and whatnot. Solid overall offseason. It's not that crazy of a statement to come out here and say that the Golden State Warriors could win 2 more championships. Are we really are any of us really going to sit here and say that the Golden State Warriors have no chance at winning 2 more championships? That Steph, you're really going to doubt that much to the point where you think it's that crazy to see Steph Curry hoist the Lombardi or hoist the O'Brien 2 more times? Like, come on, that's not that crazy of a statement to make there. Now, if I were to make my prediction today based on the Golden State Warriors, would I say that I do think the Golden State Warriors will win 2 more championships? No. Do I think they're going to win 1 more? Yes. I do think the Warriors will win at least 1 more, but I'm not going to say that 2 is unattainable. In fact, I would not even be shocked whatsoever. I'm just saying, based on the fact of the matter, when you look at what Denver Nuggets have on the team, when you look at some of these up-and-coming young teams, when you talk about how quickly the NBA can shift in star power, it's not that crazy to say that the Warriors win 2 more. It's just so hard to make that statement. But I do firmly believe that the Golden State Warriors will win 1 more championship during this dynasty era. Like I mentioned, I think they've made some solid moves. Now, we'll get to see how much of management Mike Dunleavy Jr. now comes into play. He's now the president. We'll see how much of an impact Bob Myers actually had on that team. Was he truly the guy that held everything together? Was he making all these big moves? Or has it been the players and Steve Kerr all this time? We'll see what happens this year. I think it's probably a mixture of all. Just when you have a great team in a dynasty run, I think you just look at the teams from top to bottom, all departments of an organization, and that's what makes him special. So I do think he has a big part in it, but I don't think he's the only reason. So we'll see what ends up unfolding in that situation. But Draymond Green is not crazy to say that one bit whatsoever. I would not be shocked to mention if the Warriors win at least 1 more championship, but 2 is not shocking to me at all. Like, there's no team that when I look at the NBA right now is just such a dynasty-built roster. You know what I'm saying? Like the Denver Nuggets, I like the Denver Nuggets. But I'm not going to sit up here and say that they are as good as the Golden State Warriors were heading into their dynasty. I don't think that good. I think they could. I think the Denver Nuggets have a chance of winning another championship. I would not be surprised by that. I think they're a very, very, very good team. I'm just saying they're not necessarily a team that I look at and say nobody's beating this team for the next 2, 3, 4 years. Do you know what I'm saying? Same thing as we might have said about the San Antonio Spurs dynasty or one of those Miami Heat, LeBron, D Wade, and Bosh teams. I don't think we're looking at anyone in the NBA right now and saying this team is winning the championship if they're healthy for the next 2, 3 years. The Denver Nuggets might be the favorites, yes, but I don't think there's a team you look at right now and say it's unbeatable to beat them. And when you talk about the new contract or the salary cap and how they're going to build the roster and the punishments and the fines and because of the new collective bargaining agreement, it's only going to make the NBA more and more even. And so, yes, I do think that the Warriors will win one more championship during this era, and winning 2 of them, as Draymond Green just said, would not shock me at all. Can I give a little side note, though? On this, though? What if Steph Curry gets 2 more championships and Steph Curry finishes out his career as a 6-time NBA champion? I'm just saying that's food for thought. I'm not, like I said, I think they're going to get 1 more, get to number 5, but what if Steph gets 6? Where would we put Steph all time then? Now, I don't have notes prepared for this type of debate right now, but I just thought about that. If Steph Curry gets to 6 championships, I don't know where we're going to put him right now. I'd say he's a top 10 player all time. Does he get top 3? Top 5? Where would we put him? I think we'd obviously would still take LeBron, MJ. Does he get near Kareem, Kobe, Shaq, like Magic? Where exactly is he on that pedestal then of all time ranks? So that's something to think about. But we can get into that when the Warriors win the next championship. So yes, I do not think that Draymond Green's statement is that crazy at all. And in fact, I think he's completely okay for saying that. I don't think there's anything crazy about that statement at all. But that, folks, will conclude today's episode. I know we're getting out a little bit shorter today. There's a few other things I want to give announcements for, though, before we get out of here. But I want to make sure that I talk about one last thing before I get out of here. And that's going back to the verse of the day. I always want to start and end each show with the verse of the day. And today, the verse of the day is 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13, in which it reads this: "No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, he will also provide a way out so that you can endure it." 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. All right, let me break it down a little bit more for you guys that didn't tune in the beginning of the show. The Greek for temptation can also mean testing and tested. Now, that's for temptation and tempted. So, temptation, tempted, testing, or tested. All the same thing right here we're talking about. So, what exactly does that mean then? Well, let's break it down for you. This is not saying that no matter what we go through in this journey and in our walk with God, that life is going to be perfect, that we're not going to have trials and tribulations, that we're never going to sin. That is not what this is saying. And that is something that this verse gets taken out of context for a lot. And people think that, oh, if I become a believer, it's all going to be good. There ain't going to be no problems. We're going to get through this journey all happy and rainbows and sunshine, and nothing's going to be a problem. Guess what? That's not true. And that's not what this is saying. What this is saying is that, guess what? Actually, there is going to be temptations. There's going to be trials. There's going to be tribulations. There's going to be times that you will be tested as a person. But guess what? In those tough times, when you are tempted to do things that do not follow the word of God, and when there are times that there are things not going your way or according to plan, that there are going to be a way out. It says it right here in the scripture of God in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. He will also provide a way out so that you can endure it. Enduring does not mean take it away. Enduring does not mean that it will no longer be. Enduring does not mean that it's just going to be removed from you and you never have to deal with it. No, enduring means that you're going to go through it. You're going to experience it. You're going to have to go into the trenches and get through those situations. And it's not going to be easy. But guess what? Because of the grace and mercy and love of God, he is faithful. And he is not going to let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. There is a certain threshold that each one of us are capable of reaching when it comes to a temptation, when it comes to a certain walk in our lives. A certain threshold in which we can bear, and God only knows that to the full extent. And he will not let it get past that. Therefore, he is saying, I will take on the rest of that burden for you. You will go through it, and we're going to go through this together in partnership. But it's not going to be more than you can bear. I promise you this, that you can overcome it. He will provide a way out for you. He says it right here. But you have to trust in him. And he will take it. There will be a way out. There never will be a situation, a trial, tribulation, or a temptation to go against God's word and his commands and his word that you simply do not have the capacity and ability to overcome. There will always be an opportunity and the option to not sin in that temptation, to not give up in those trials and tribulations. But what must occur is for us to put our faith and trust in Jesus and learn to endure through it. And guess what? Eventually, those tough times will be gone, and you'll get to experience true peace and love and a fellowship with our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, like you will through the tough times and the hard times. And you'll get to experience better times. But we need to go through it with Jesus. He's the only answer. He's going to help us get through the tough times, the trials and tribulations. He will help us overcome those situations. He will help us overcome those times. And in those trials and tribulations, we can turn to him knowing that, guess what? It's never going to be greater or bigger than we can handle. And we will mess up. I've sinned countless times. I've sinned today. I've sinned yesterday. And I'm going to sin probably tomorrow. And I'm going to do my best not to. But we know that there will never be a reason that we can say, oh, well, I just could not do that. Yes, you can. God gives us the power, and it's important not to forget that, because the more we train our minds to realize that we can grow, that God has got our back, that he's going to be with us, the more that we are able to sit back and realize we can get through this and we can become more and more into the image and likeness of Jesus. And so that is today's verse of the day, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. Well, I appreciate everyone for tuning in today. I alluded to in the beginning, actually, this was on Monday's episode, my apologies on that tomorrow's episode is going to be a different time. Typically, we always go from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern time. Well, tomorrow is going to be a late show. It is intended to that because the guest that we're having on, I'm going to let that be announced tomorrow. Actually, I'm not going to announce it yet. He just got back into town with his NBA team, and they got practice around the typical showtime, and I wanted to get him on. He's been a guy that I've known for a very long time now, someone I've been really close to, and I'm excited to be able to get him on the show tomorrow. So it's going to be at 8:15 p.m. Eastern time will be the start of that interview. So the show will most likely run from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern time. Like I said, it's a late night show, so I appreciate everyone who hops on and tunes into that. Obviously, though, you will be able to check it out in the morning or later on, whenever you want to check it out, when that gets released, because it will be available following the show. But yeah, so tomorrow is a late show once again, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern time. One guest is locked in. I might add a second one onto the second hour of the show. Have not officially determined the decisioning on that yet. But yeah, so tomorrow's show will run from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern time. I'll make that post tomorrow so everyone knows who that guest is. Excited to get him on. He's the guy that I've had on the show countless times before the SchuZ Show began. So obviously back in the other stuff. He's in the NBA now, and he's a guy that I'm really close to, and I'm excited to get into that interview. So he'll be joining us tomorrow, 8:15 p.m. Eastern time. With that being said, I think it's time to get up on out of here, though. I appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning into the show today. And I cannot wait to see what God's got in store for everyone throughout this day. Keep being the light, everyone. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. SchuZ is out. God bless you guys.